Lights at the end of the tunnel. First tonight on Our News, live at 7:30. Positive negotiations with Bahamas Power and Light officials after a nearly unanimous strike vote by members of the Bahamas Electrical Workers Union. Tonight, the union chief weighs in. Also, more support on the way for correctional officers who work with mentally ill inmates. Plus, Women in Power. The series continues tonight as our Sasha Lightbourne talks one-on-one with a long-serving parliamentarian. And later, our Megan Shepherd takes us on a tour of the newest cultural attraction only at the Nassau Cruise Port. It's all coming up when Our News Live at 7:30 returns.
Are you or a loved one under medical care? Do you need affordable medical supplies? Ports International is the largest home healthcare supplier.
Inside what was once a lagoon?
So imagine that it is 80,000 years ago.
Nice.
And what it would have been like.
To kayaking.
Okay. Shallow. Don't worry about me. I'm turning around.
To learning about those things that scare us.
Okay, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine. Just go to yourself right there.
Come join us on the record for a lesson in conservation and exploration inside the Bahamas National Trust Parks.
Parliament is prorogued, ending the first legislative session of the Davis administration. It's been 2 years since the PLP won elections, ushering in a new government. On October 4th, a brand new session of Parliament begins with a new Governor General, a new speech from the throne, and with it, a blueprint for a new legislative agenda. Stay with Our News Nightly and follow ournews.bs for analysis and insight, and most of all, what's important to you.
Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Jamila Mizik in for Italia Hall. There may be light at the end of the tunnel for frustrated BPL workers as negotiations are now progressing after an overwhelming vote to strike by members of the Bahamas Electrical Workers Union. Our Joshua Williams fills us in.
A strike vote carried out by the Bahamas Electrical Workers Union saw 99% of union members vote yes. Our News got a hold of those documents showing a strike certificate signed by Director of Labor Robert Farquharson and former Labor Minister Keith Bell. Union President Kyle Wilson says following the vote, negotiations with BPL's top brass now looks promising.
We are in possession of a strike certificate. The union is currently engaged in active daily talks with COO Tony Seymour, and based on the interaction with Ms. Seymour, we are absolute confident in her leadership, and we are absolute confident in what she's saying as coming forward to resolve the issues.
For some time now, the union has been threatening industrial action over a laundry list of concerns, chief among them safety and a disconnect with leadership at BPL.
The CEO himself was being sort of unfair in how he was reading the industrial agreement as in terms of worker benefits that we would have negotiated. And so that would have led to some contention with the executive, and we felt like the CEO was being unfair in handling the workers. And
Wilson says he believes the strike vote speaks loud and clear about how workers feel.
When you have 99% of your companies saying we're not happy, I mean, you'd be a fool not to come to the table and hear the concerns of the workers. It's telling you that something is drastically wrong. And so I'm happy the fact that they heard the voice of the people.
Recently, Minister JoBeth Colby Davis announced as the new Minister of Energy, in addition to her responsibilities as a Minister of Transport, a decision welcomed by Wilson.
Minister Colby would have reached out to the union, assuring the union that she's going to work along with management to ensure that all of the issues are resolved. And so we are optimistic. It's already a breath of fresh air because, you know, not to get into other things, but it's a breath of fresh air that she's willing to reach out. It's a breath of fresh air.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Joshua Williams.
To men are in hot water tonight after police say they were caught with illegal guns in separate incidents. In the first case, officers from Operation Ceasefire and the Defense Force arrested a 20-year-old man just after midnight. Police say the man ran after he saw officers patrolling the West Street area. As he fled, he reportedly tossed a gun, which officers were able to recover. Minutes later, a 22-year-old man was arrested after officers stopped and searched him and his 2011 black Honda Fit. Ammunition was found in the car, according to police. Meanwhile, a woman found guilty of bringing a loaded gun inside a police station has accepted her fate. Annette Johnson, who is serving a sentence of 2 years and 6 months, dropped her appeal during a virtual appearance before the Court of Appeal. Johnson was arrested along with her boyfriend, Dino Smith, last May after police officers found $8,000 in her car. While in custody, Johnson asked to use the bathroom. After she used the bathroom, officers found a pistol along with 13 rounds of ammunition in the toilet tank. In her interview, Johnson said her boyfriend gave her the gun to hide after the officers stopped the car. She said she placed the firearm in her underwear, knowing that the male officers could not search her. Meanwhile, more support is on the way for the staff of the Bahamas Department of Corrections in their efforts to work with inmates with mental illnesses. Acting Commissioner of Corrections Don Clare says they've even received international assistance.
Currently today, we have over 149 mentally ill inmates at the Bahamas Department of Corrections. And you know, it's a difficult management process. But again, we are happy to say that the American Correctional Association is now certifying our staff in mental health management. We have had 30 of them has already completed a 10-day training exercise, and they will be getting their certification on Tuesday of next week.
While Hurricane Lee is no longer a worry for the Bahamas, we're still keeping a close eye on the tropics. Meteorologist Greg Thompson is back in the Weather Center with a first check on weather. Greg?
Yeah, thanks, Jamila, and happy Thursday evening, everybody. Another nice day around the islands. Temperature-wise, it's still on the warm side, but we're starting to cool down a bit. It's 86 degrees outside our studios. Beautiful sunset there. Few clouds. Your winds are out of the northwest at 10 miles per hour. And your feels-like temperature is at 94. Well, we are under the influence of a weak ridge of high pressure that's continuing to dominate our weather, but we have that northerly flow from the western periphery of Lee. Lee is still out there, slowly moving towards the north and away from our area. We will continue to enjoy some beautiful conditions throughout the remainder of the week as that high pressure remains in charge. You could see 1 or 2 spotty showers, but all in all, it should be a very nice end of the week. That's your first look at weather. Stick with us. A look at the tropics is still to come.
Still to come on our news, Women in Power. Our Sasha Lightborn continues the series tonight as Glennis Hannah Martin takes the spotlight. And find out how the Nassau Cruise Port is putting culture on display with its Junkanoo Museum. That story and more when our news returns.
Introducing the Focal Smart Pass app that helps you to fuel up faster. Here's how it works. Download the app on the App Store or get it on Google Play and create your profile with payment details. Visit your nearest Shell station, open the app, scan the pump's QR code, select your payment amount, and begin fueling. Say goodbye to cash and cards because the Focal Smart Pass offers secure and convenient payment options right at your fingertips. Download Focal Smart Pass now and fuel up faster today.
Collect Verse Access is as easy as grab a collect, scan a collect. Open your camera app, focus on the QR code, and click the link that appears. You own your Collect Verse experience. Take selfies, join the cultural referendum, and share with your friends. See content from local chefs, Olympic athletes, and cultural icons. Collect is proud to be 50. Grab a collect, scan a collect. Get in the Collect Verse today.
Doctors Hospital is reimagined primary care. We have invested to improve our health system, ensuring that accessible, affordable, world-class clinical care is closer to you. Your relationship with a primary care provider shapes the foundation of your overall health. Our new, modern primary care facilities are where critical diagnosis and true personalized treatment begin. With locations across New Providence, Grand Bahama, and Exuma, we invite you to experience the Doctors Hospital difference. Book your next appointment at clinics.doctorshos.com.
Parliament is prorogued, ending the first legislative session of the Davis administration. It's been 2 years since the PLP-1 elections, ushering in a new government. On October 4th, a brand new session of Parliament begins with a new Governor General, a new speech from the throne, and with it a blueprint for a new legislative agenda. Stay with Our News Nightly and follow ournews.bs for analysis and insight, and most of all, what's important to you.
Embrace technology and the digital transformation for better business results. For small business owners, it's essential to understand how technology can affect operational efficiencies. Modern communication relies on technology, and your customer service depends on communication. With proper tools like our fixed and mobile services, we help you stay connected. For solutions that work, ask the experts. Call Cable Bahamas Business Solutions.
Don't spend hours sending individual messages to your customers. Use SMS messaging instead. With Cable Bahamas Business Solutions SMS messaging, you can send personalized messages to hundreds or even thousands of recipients instantly. It's quick, effortless, and cost-effective. Plus, it ensures that your messages are delivered directly to your customers' cellular phones, guaranteeing higher engagement. Save time and boost your outreach with SMS bulk messaging. Call Cable Bahamas Business Solutions at 601-8911 in Nassau or 602-8811 in the Family Island.
She's the oldest and most decorated woman around the cabinet table. She's also one of few parliamentarians serving for 5 consecutive terms. As our PLP Women in Power series continues, our Sasha Lightbourne sits with the most senior woman at the table, Glenys Hannah Martin.
I think you have to come with a warrior spirit, number one. Secondly, you have to understand it's not about you. It's not about you. If you step, and this is not just for women, it's for men and women, but I'm talking to women, it's not about you. This is not a stage for personal profiling.
Sage advice for any person considering frontline politics from someone who has been in the trenches going on 25 years. Glenys Hannah Martin says this juncture of the rodeo has been among the most challenging.
It provides an opportunity, if you do it right, to go off script and to innovate and to seize the day. And so I wouldn't use the word difficult, even though it can be. I will use the word that it is perhaps more challenging because of those factors. But more than anything, it provides an opportunity to recover once again the sort of dynamism that we had in education in the Bahamas. So I consider it a challenge that I've taken up fully.
A second-generation politician, the daughter of former Deputy Prime Minister and Governor General, the late Adie Hanna. She served as Transport and Aviation Minister on 2 previous occasions, now as the Minister of Education.
That was not as easy as it might have seemed for a number of reasons, which I won't go into, but we got them back in the classroom. And then the second thing we had to deal with was stabilizing the campus.
She's represented the Anglerston constituency successfully in every election race since 2002. In the last term, only one of 4 who survived a major election defeat, and up to now, she still works within her constituency.
We have sought to address a number of infrastructural issues, the flooding, the potholes. We're trying to see where we can get the speed bumps in. Some things I'd like to see done a little more quickly, infrastructurally. I believe that we have some good work underway.
With one of the largest and most high-profile ministries, a low-income and no doubt demanding constituency, this outspoken and sometimes radical politician is still managing to keep it all together.
It's like a mesh. It's not segmented. And so you have to, it's a continuing mesh of this, that, and the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing. And so I think that's the way I would describe it.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Sasha Lightbourne.
It's now time for tonight's Financial Market Minute, brought to you by RF, your local investment bank. This has been your Financial Market Minute. To explore the best performing mutual funds in the Bahamas, visit our website at www.rfgroup.com.
A new governing body is formed to oversee our national sport. The UB volleyball squad returns from another trip, and a Bahamian NFL player finds a new home. Don't go anywhere, our sports is coming up next.
And culture on display. Find out how the Nassau Cruise Port is taking guests on a walk through history with the sights and sounds of Junkanoo. We have the details when our news returns.
Parliament is prorogued, ending the first legislative session of the Davis administration. It's been 2 years since the PLP-1 elections, ushering in a new government. On October 4th, a brand new session of Parliament begins with a new Governor General, a new speech from the throne, and with it a blueprint for a new legislative agenda. Stay with Our News Nightly and follow ournews.bs for analysis and insight, and most of all, what's important to you.
From inside what was once a lagoon.
So imagine that it is 80,000 years ago.
Nice.
And what it would have been like.
To kayaking.
Okay. Shallow. Don't worry about me. I'm turning around.
To learning about those things that scare us.
Okay, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine. Just those trees there, right there.
Come join us on the record for a lesson in conservation and exploration inside the Bahamas National Trust Parks.
Embrace technology and the digital transformation for better business results. For small business owners, it's essential to understand how technology can affect operational efficiencies. Modern communication relies on technology, and your customer service depends on communication. With proper tools like our fixed and mobile services, we help you stay connected. For solutions that work, ask the experts. Call Cable Bahamas Business Solutions.
Don't spend hours sending individual messages to your customers. Use SMS messaging instead. With Cable Bahamas Business Solutions SMS messaging, you can send personalized messages to hundreds or even thousands of recipients instantly. It's quick, effortless, and cost-effective. Plus, it ensures that your messages are delivered directly to your customers' cellular phones, guaranteeing higher engagement. Save time and boost your outreach with SMS bulk messaging. Call Cable Bahamas Business Solutions at 601-8911 in Nassau or 602-8811 in the Family Islands.
In what we do at Best Brew, it really doesn't end when the customer purchases our product. We offer specialty coffee, tea, spices, and brewing equipment. We do a lot of our orders via website. We actually have the mobile service and the phone service and the internet. So having business in a box really kind of brought everything together for us and helps us to be able to provide the customer services that we pride ourselves on.
This is Our News. Welcome back.
Today's sports update is sponsored by Michelob Ultra, distributed in the Bahamas by Jimmy's Wines and Spirits.
A sailing commission was formed and the UB volleyball team competed overseas once again. Tej Adderley is here with a check on sports. Tej?
Thanks, Jamila. Good evening. It's almost the weekend. I'm Tej Adderley here with our sports. Earlier this year, sailing was announced as our country's national sport. A sailing commission has been set up to help grow the sport.
I'm most pleased to hold this position because we are now focused fully on what sailing means for an archipelagic nation such as the Bahamas.
That's Renee Glinton, the newly appointed chair of the National Sailing Commission set up by the Ministry of Family Island Affairs. Her co-chair, Dallas Knowles, feels that the commission's formation was much needed.
I think this is a key move from the ministry because we need an organizing authority for sailing on the whole. Sloop sailing and international sailing need to work together.
Providing access will make our country all the more better at sailing in the long run. Moving things over to the court, UB volleyball returned home from some matches in Florida. The UB Mingos women's volleyball team recently dropped a pair of matches against Millennia Atlantic University in Doral, Florida. They lost the first match on Friday. They put up a fight on Saturday, falling 25-11, 25-22, and 25-16. Head coach Raymond Wilson says that his team has work to do.
We capitalize on our mistakes and our errors. We have to have that same mindset, whereas when we play, we have to capitalize on our team's mistake, the other team's mistake, and their weaknesses.
Now to the gridiron. We announced last week that NFL wideout Mike Strawn was sent to the Colts practice squad. Yesterday, he signed with a brand new team. Grand Bahamas Mike Strawn was released by the Colts yesterday and immediately signed to the practice squad of the Carolina Panthers. Standing 6'5", 220 with elite track speed, the 26-year-old showed immense potential but was never able to find a consistent role with the Colts because of his injuries. He will get another chance with the rebuilding Carolina team featuring 2023 #1 overall pick Bryce Young at quarterback. The signing reunites Strawn with Panthers coach Frank Reich, who was head coach in Indianapolis when Strawn was drafted. Hopefully he gets some bombs from Bryce Young. That'll do it for sports today. I'm Tej Adderley.
Still ahead on our news tonight, Junkanoo. Our Megan Shepherd gives us an inside look at the new Junkanoo Museum at the Nassau Cruise Port. Plus, clear skies in the capital tonight as we're one day away from the weekend. Greg is back in the Weather Center with a look at your extended weather forecast. That's coming up when our news returns.
From inside what was once a lagoon.
So imagine that it is 80,000 years ago.
Nice.
And what it would have been like.
To kayaking.
Okay. Shallow. Don't worry about me. I'm turning around.
To learning about those things that scare us.
Okay, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine. Just those trees there, right there.
Come join us on the record for a lesson in conservation and exploration inside the Bahamas National Trust Parks.
Parliament is prorogued, ending the first legislative session of the Davis administration. It's been 2 years since the PLP-1 elections, ushering in a new government. On October 4th, a brand new session of Parliament begins with a new Governor General, a new speech from the throne, and with it, a blueprint for a new legislative agenda. Stay with Our News Nightly and follow ournews.bs for analysis and insight, and most of all, what's important to you.
Embrace technology and the digital transformation for better business results. For small business owners, it's essential to understand how technology can affect operational efficiencies. Modern communication relies on technology, and your customer service depends on communication. With proper tools like our fixed and mobile services, we help you stay connected. For solutions that work, ask the experts. Call Cable Bahamas Business Solutions.
Don't spend hours sending individual messages to your customers. Use SMS messaging instead. With Cable Bahamas Business Solutions SMS messaging, you can send personalized messages to hundreds or even thousands of recipients instantly. It's quick, effortless, and cost-effective. Plus, it ensures that your messages are delivered directly to your customers' cellular phones, guaranteeing higher engagement. Save time and boost your outreach with SMS bulk messaging. Call Cable Bahamas Business Solutions at 601-8911 in Nassau or 602-8811 in the Family Islands.
In what we do at Best Brew, it really doesn't end when the customer purchases our product. We offer specialty coffee, tea, spices, and brewing equipment. We do a lot of our orders via website. We actually have the mobile service and the phone service and the internet. So having business in a box really kind of brought everything together for us and helps us to be able to provide the customer services that we pride ourselves on.
From inside what was once a lagoon.
So imagine that it is 80,000 years ago.
Nice.
And what it would have been like.
To kayaking.
Okay. Shallow.
Welcome back to Our News. Sunny skies and warm temperatures today, but is there anything brewing in the tropics? Meteorologist Greg Thompson is back in the Weather Center with your extended forecast. Greg?
Yeah, thanks again, Jamila. Welcome back, everybody, for our final check on weather. In the tropics, we still have a couple of systems that we're watching. Lee is still moving away from us and approaching Bermuda. Should be moving west of that location. We also have Margot, which is still a hurricane, but it's meandering out there in the open Atlantic and not posing a problem for anybody. And of course, we are still watching that area in the central Atlantic that the National Hurricane Center is still giving a very high chance for formation. We will continue to watch this one rather closely. It's going to be tracking towards the northwest and approaching the Bermuda area. You guys up in Bermuda, you seem to be the bullseye for most of the systems this hurricane season. And then, of course, as I mentioned, Margot's still out there meandering. It's going to do a little bit of a loop, and eventually by next week, Tuesday, expected to weaken to a tropical storm and continue to move away from all land masses. And then, of course, there's Lee. As I mentioned, Lee is still tracking towards the north. It's going to continue on that track over the next couple of days and into the weekend. And by early next week, we expect that system to be moving into the Canadian Maritimes. Some swells still affecting us, but those swells will be subsiding as the weekend approaches. And that high-pressure system will remain in charge of our weather. So we're looking at some beautiful conditions on the outdoors. So do get out and enjoy. Talking about that system in the open Atlantic, that's the system that National Hurricane Center is giving a high chance. Between the 15th and 17th of this week, September, this month, is the open window for when we expect that system to form. And as I mentioned, it's continued to track towards the northwest and into the open Atlantic. Boating conditions for the northwest and central Bahamas tonight through tomorrow. We have a small craft advisory in effect still for those swells and a high risk for rip currents. So we're asking you beachgoers to stay out of the water. In the meantime, your winds will be northerly, 10 to 15 knots, seas 3 to 5 feet near shore, but they will be building up to 8 feet offshore, mainly along the Atlantic exposures. And your high tide will be at 8:26 tonight. For the southeast Bahamas, variable winds at 5 to 10 knots, seas 2 to 4 feet, but up to 8 feet in northeasterly swells, mainly along Atlantic exposures. Here's a look now at your national forecast. In your extended forecast, sunny and pleasant conditions throughout the remainder of the week. That high pressure will continue to generate some very beautiful conditions. Swells will be subsiding, so it will be likely that you'll be able to get into the waters for the weekend, but those temperatures will be approaching the 90-degree mark for the remainder of the week. That's a look at our weather. Make it a safe one and enjoy the night, everybody.
All right, thanks, Greg. The Nassau Cruise Port continuing to wow tourists and visitors alike, from the new multi-million-dollar renovations on shore to their expanded berths and shopping plazas. But did you know there's also culture on display? Tonight, we take a look inside the Junkanoo Museum, which General Manager Asia Saunders says has been a hit with all who visit. Megan Shepard reports.
Junkanoo is us, Junkanoo is Bahamian, Junkanoo is Feel the Rush.
The Junkanoo Museum at the Nassau Cruise Port is a walk through history, filled with the vibrant sights, the rich culture, captivating facts, and of course, the undeniably sweet sounds of Junkanoo. General Manager Asia Saunders says the museum is an experience that was necessary.
We wanted to make it more in depth, that persons, visitors, and locals alike can be more in tune of the history of Junkanoo, how it started, how Junkanoo has evolved over the years as well.
Displays depict the heart of Junkanoo, the drums, the progression of the costumes, from the use of sponge and newspapers to the glitz and jewels we witness today. And then there's the display that just may be my favorite part, the interactive music exhibit.
You have the music board, you can play and have the drums separately. You also have the horn separately, cowbells, because it's indigenous to us. You also have the conch shell. Many guests were in awe of the conch shell because they couldn't understand how we were able to get a sound out of the conch shell.
And the tour culminates with a beautiful display of cultural expression. But what do locals think when they visit the museum?
So far, it's been overwhelming. It's been pleasing to their eyes to see. We're hoping future that we're able to display the talents of whoever wins the parade inside the museum, that you not only have the bragging rights that I won the Boxing Day or won the New Year's Eve parade, but I have a piece within the Junkanoo Museum.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Megan Shepard.
All right, thanks for that story, Megan, and thank you for joining us for Our News tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Jamila Mizik. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night. Have a beautiful evening.